So welcome children once again. So last class we had spoke about the file management. We came to the end of the class till here. That was the file management, and I told you what exactly it is and how the hierarchy is maintained. So now let us understand in understanding the different types of OS. Now these are different types of OS means the operating systems. Means this is somewhere we are trying to understand the different types of operating systems softwares basically. Okay, so OS are classified in the following types depending on their capability of processing. Now the first is the single user or a single task OS. Now children, please understand that we have different types of operating system for various machines. For example, for a smartphone. Now smartphone and a desktop computer, these are two different machines, isn't it? So two different machines means they will be requiring different OS for it. For handling a smartphone, which is a different hardware, different configuration, the architecture is a bit different, so it will require another OS. So we use the OS that is Android, which is very popular. Then Apple has its own OS, that is iOS, and so on. For desktop we have many OS that we have the Windows, which is very popular. Then we have Linux. So for different machines we have different OS, please understand it. So for every electronic device we can have another separate OS, so that it makes that machine work. As I said earlier, the operating system makes the machine work, and that is the reason we require this software. So single user or a single task OS. So it is used as a standalone single computer for performing a single task. Operating systems for personal computers, that is PC, are a single user OS. So I can say that the machine that I'm using right now is a single task or a single user, means only one person can use the desktop computer that I'm currently using, or a laptop. The currently laptop that you're using, only one person can use that laptop, that particular OS that is inside the laptop. This is what I mean to say. इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि ऐसा भी कोई मशीन है जिसमें 4-5 लोग एक ही मशीन पर बैठ के काम कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है। कहने का मतलब कि उसके अंदर जो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम बना है दैट इज मेड फॉर सिंगल यूजर, सिंगल मशीन सिंगल यूजर, ठीक है। So single user OS are simply operating system designed to manage one task at a time. MS-DOS is such an example. Now MS-DOS क्या था? एक DOS based operating system था, and DOS based operating system का मतलब it was something it looks like. I will just show you. That is something like, it looks like something like this. CMD. We have a DOS over here also. On our Windows 10 we also have a DOS. So this is a DOS operating system. This is an OS. This was the very first OS of Microsoft. Microsoft had designed this OS. So we have something like MS-DOS. We call this as MS-DOS, so Microsoft DOS. Okay, so that is disk operating system. The full form of DOS is disk operating system. So this is how MS-DOS looks like. Now we always have this so that we can execute the hardware engineers or the software engineers. For certain reasons we need to use this particular console, that is the MS-DOS, for executing some of the commands. Like commands like, if I want to know what is the IP address of my particular computer, so uh, so I can use IP config. Okay, IP config, and this actually gives me the IP address of my machine. So these particular OS, now this is always, it comes with the Windows OS that is currently running on your machine. For example, I'm running with Windows 10, so along with Windows 10 Microsoft always gives this so that we can execute certain commands. Please understand this. This particular console or this particular operating system is basically used by for setting up the network. If there is some issue, like I want to know the IP number of my machine, so using this command I can know that. Okay, so this is the disk operating system, and you can see I gave one command, that is IP config, and then the OS actually took that command and it executed and it gave me the output. So what is happening over here? And now again you can see I can give my next command over here. So what is happening over here? This is a single user OS, means it is only and only it can perform one task at one time. This is practically I'm showing it to you. One task at one time. So I can give my next command, whatever it is. If I want to see the directories inside this folder, a J, so I can simply write dir, and it will show me all the directories that I have inside the current folder. So again, I gave a second command, and now the second command was taken and it was processed and the output was given to me. So this is the example of a single user, and see, single user and single task. That is the complete term. The complete term is basically a single user and a single task OS. So this is a single task OS because it can only and only take one task at one time. So this is practically I'm showing you the example. So now it should be very much clear to you. कोई भी विंडोज का आप OS लेते हो चिल्ड्रन, उसके साथ आपको MS DOS मिलता ही है, ठीक है। ऐसे भी कुछ प्रोग्राम्स है जो MS DOS पर ही रन करते हैं, तो उसके लिए भी हमें MS DOS की ज़रूरत पड़ती है, और दैट इज़ द रीज़न वाई always Microsoft provides this as extra OS along with the current OS that you have. So this takes one command at one time and it process it and it will give us the output, and that is the reason it is called as a single user and a single task OS. So it will only take one task at one time. So this is the perfect example. I will close this now. So that's the single user, single task OS. Then we have multi-user OS. Multi-user OS का क्या मतलब है? It is used, multi मतलब बहुत, एक से ज़्यादा, I mean to say, right? So is used to in mini computers और mainframe computers. अब ये mini computers, mainframe computers ये networking में इस्तेमाल होता है, और ये basically server machines होते हैं, mini computers और mainframe computers, ठीक है। उसका भी मैं इन डिटेल आपको मैं बताऊंगा कि एग्जैक्टली वो सर्वर मशीन किस लिए होते हैं, क्या काम करता है, वो हम लोग देखेंगे धीरे धीरे, ठीक है। इट इज यूज्ड इन मिनी कंप्यूटर्स और मेन फ्रेम कंप्यूटर्स दैट अलाउ सेम डेटा एंड एप्लीकेशन टू बी एक्सेस बाय मल्टीपल यूजर एट द सेम टाइम। इसका ये मतलब होता है, तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेरे जो हमारा एक नेटवर्क है, तो बेसिकली ये कहाँ काम आता है, ये सर्वर्स, बेसिकली हम जब बात करते हैं सर्वर, तो सर्वर कहाँ काम आता है, सर्वर नेटवर्किंग में ही काम आता है चिल्ड्रन। कंप्यूटर नेटवर्किंग में सर्वर लगता है। तो हमारे कंप्यूटर लैब में तो वैसा कोई सर्वर तो है नहीं, पर अज्यूम करिए जहाँ पर हमारा जो मेन एक पीसी रखा हुआ है, जहाँ पे टीचर्स उस पीसी को इस्तेमाल करते हैं, अज्यूम करें कि वो एक मेन सर्वर है, और बाकी जितने भी कंप्यूटर्स हमारे लैब में है, ऑल दोज आर आर इन द नेटवर्क और आर कनेक्टेड टू द सर्वर, ठीक है। तो उसमें क्या होता है, बहुत सारे सॉफ्टवेयर्स आपके कंप्यूटर में इंस्टॉल शायद ना हो, पर वो मेन सर्वर पर इंस्टॉल्ड है, एंड देन यू कैन एक्सेस दो सॉफ्टवेयर, यू कैन रन दी एप्लीकेशन थ्रू द सर्वर बेसिकली। तो इसका ये मतलब होता है, सो दैट अलाउज सेम डेटा और एप्लीकेशन टू बी एक्सेस्ड बाय मल्टीपल यूजर। ऑब्वियसली मेरे सर्वर पे बहुत सारा डेटा है, तो वो डेटा आप सिंस इट इज अ नेटवर्क, सो सारे कंप्यूटर्स जो है मैं वो डेटा सारे कंप्यूटर्स के साथ शेयर कर सकता हूँ। Okay, so that is the working of server. So mini computers and mainframes, these are servers, and in future I will talk about this in detail. That is multi-user OS. तो multi-user OS का मतलब होता है वो एक ऐसा OS है जो नेटवर्क को हैंडल कर सकता है, याद रखिए, ठीक है। The user can also communicate with each other since it is a network. अब यहाँ पे नेटवर्क वर्ड ही इस्तेमाल नहीं किया, उनको नेटवर्क वर्ड इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए था, पर यहाँ पे सिंस इट इज़ अ नेटवर्क, अब जब आप नेटवर्क में हो तो आप एक दूसरे से कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हो, इजंट इट। लाइनक्स एंड यूनिक्स आर एग्जांपल्स ऑफ मल्टी यूजर ओएस। इनफैक्ट विंडोज का भी अपना नेटवर्किंग का एक अलग सा ओएस आता है, ठीक है। सो दैट इज द मल्टी यूजर ओएस, विच मीन्स इट कैन प्रोसेस मल्टीपल रिक्वेस्ट फ्रॉम मल्टीपल यूजर, इसका ये मतलब है। So children, then multi-processing OS. अब ये क्या होता है, have two or more processors for a single running process. Processing text place in parallel and is called as parallel processing. ये क्या होता है children, ये हमारे मेरे कंप्यूटर में भी हो सकता है, आपके लैपटॉप में भी ये हो सकता है। इसमें क्या होता है, एक से ज़्यादा प्रोसेसर्स लगे होते हैं, ठीक है, एक चिप में एक से ज़्यादा प्रोसेसर्स होते हैं। तो उसमें क्या होता है, ये इसलिए किया जाता है क्योंकि मल्टीटास्किंग और अच्छे तरीके से हो सके और फिर दोनों प्रोसेसर्स एक साथ काम करते हैं। ठीक है, वो चिप की बात हो रही है बेसिकली यहाँ पर। तो मल्टी और वो तो मैं हार्डवेयर की बात कर रहा हूँ, फिलहाल मैं उस चिप की बात कर रहा हूँ, पर उस हार्डवेयर को सपोर्ट करने का ओएस भी हमें चाहिए। तो मेरे पास मल्टी प्रोसेसिंग ओएस है पर मेरी चिप ही मल्टी प्रोसेसर है नहीं उसमें, तो वो काम नहीं करेगा। एंड अगेन द सेम थिंग कम्स ओवर हियर दैट वी नीड टू हैव द ओएस अकॉर्डिंग टू द मशीन। जो ओएस होता है इट शुड बी कंपैटिबल विद द मशीन। Okay, so if I have a multi-processing OS, but my hardware is not supporting that, so it's of no use. So if two processors can work together, it is called as parallel processing. Each processor works on different parts of the same task. तो आपका क्या होगा, सॉफ्टवेयर वगैरह जो है वो एग्जीक्यूशन बहुत फास्ट होता है उससे, और on two or more different tasks. Since execution takes place in parallel, they are used for high speed execution. देखिए वही वर्ड आ गया ना, हाई स्पीड एग्जीक्यूशन होता है इसमें, and to increase the power of computer. So Linux, Unix and Windows 7 are the examples of multi-processing OS. अब ये Windows 7 कहाँ से आया, Windows 7 भी आता है, Windows 8 भी आएगा, उसमें Windows 10 भी आता है। So Windows 7 से लेकर की बात हो रही है। अब ये क्यों हो रहा है चिल्ड्रन, नाउ वी हैव i3 प्रोसेसर, i5 प्रोसेसर, i7 प्रोसेसर्स। तो ये जो प्रोसेसर्स है इसमें पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग होता है चिल्ड्रन। ठीक है, ये बहुत लोगों को पता नहीं होता है, बट देयर आर डुअल प्रोसेसर, मोर देन वन प्रोसेसर होते हैं उसमें एक चिप में, और उसको उस हार्डवेयर को सपोर्ट करने के लिए हमारे पास विंडोज 10 है, विंडोज 7 प्लस से हम आगे लेंगे, विंडोज 7, विंडोज 8, विंडोज 10, ये सारे पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग को सपोर्ट करते हैं। ठीक है, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मल्टी प्रोसेसिंग ओएस। एक चिप के अंदर दो कोर्स होते हैं, दो से ज्यादा कोर हो सकते हैं। तो i3 में दो कोर होते हैं जहां तक मुझे पता है, इट हैज 2 कोर्स ओनली। i5 हैज 3 कोर्स एंड सो ऑन। और इसी का मतलब है कि i5 विल बी पावरफुल देन i3, i7 विल बी पावरफुल देन i5। ठीक है, इसको याद रखिए। तो ये तो हार्डवेयर हो गया, और उसके लिए हमें चाहिए ओएस। तो हमारा ओएस जो है विंडोज 10 जो है, या विंडोज 7, विंडोज 8, विंडोज 10, दीज आर मल्टी प्रोसेसिंग ओएस। Then we will move forward children, that is time sharing operating system. Time sharing operating system, it allows execution of more than one task or a processing concurrently. ठीक है, for this the processor time is divided among different task. तो ये तो टाइम शेयरिंग ओएस हो गया, मतलब एक प्रोसेसर ही है और उसका क्या हो गया, टाइम को शेयर किया जाएगा एक फिक्स नंबर ऑफ टाइम, जैसे वो मैंने राउंड रॉबिन समझाया था आपको। सिमिलरली दिस इज अ टाइम शेयरिंग ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, अ फिक्स टाइम द सीपीयू will give for every process, for every task, and then accordingly the tasks will get executed. So the division of time is called as time sharing. See this, the processor switches rapidly between various processes. Processes matlab tasks, okay, the jobs to be executed. After the stipulated time is over, the CPU shifts to the next task in waiting. ये ऑलरेडी हमने थोड़ा डिस्कस किया था, दैट इज द सेम थिंग, टाइम शेयरिंग ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम उसे ही कहा जाता है। दैट इज, देखिए आ गया वर्ड, दैट इज राउंड रॉबिंग शेड्यूलिंग टेक्निक, round robin scheduling technique, isn't it? So this is the thing I was talking about, and the same thing. So such a OS which actually supports the round robin scheduling technique will be called as time sharing OS. ठीक है, इसमें कौन सा एग्जाम्पल क्या दिया उन्होंने, विंडोज 95 एंड द लेटर वर्जन्स ऑफ विंडोज आर द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ मल्टीटास्किंग ओएस है। मल्टीटास्किंग भी है, पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग भी है। ठीक है, विंडोज 95 से दिया, पर जो पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग है वो विंडोज 7 से आ रहा है, विंडोज 7, विंडोज 8 एंड विंडोज 10। नाउ वी हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज रियल टाइम ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम। रियल टाइम में मतलब it interacts with the environment basically. It is a multitasking operating system designed for real-time applications like robotics. ठीक है, अब जब रोबोटिक्स की बात आती है तो इट इज गोइंग टू इंटरैक्ट विद द ह्यूमंस, और इट इज गोइंग टू इंटरैक्ट विद द एनवायरनमेंट, इजंट इट? एंड दैट्स द रीजन आई सेड दैट it actually interacts with the real time, means it interacts with the environment. In such type of operating system, the tasks have to be done within a fixed deadline. So all the OS basically which are built for robotics, or maybe weather reporting जो अपना होता है वो रियल टाइम में होना चाहिए, because it has to interact with the environment to know about the weather. There are special OS for that. Such a OS are called as real time OS. So you can give the examples like the operating system which are built for robotics or for real time weather reporting. Such type of OS are called as real time operating system. Hence, real-time operating system depends not only on logical result of the computation but also on the time in which the results are produced. Okay? So this is just a simple example you can write if this comes to your exam. Then distributed OS. Now this is like you know on a network, data is stored and processed on multiple locations. The distributed operating system is used on networks as it allows time shared data. So this is same thing, children. See, distributed OS and the like a multi-user OS, they have the same feature basically. So multi-user means where multiple people can work with a single OS, and distributed OS means also the same thing. The data can be shared with multiple people. Okay, so on a network, data is stored. See, they are talking about the same thing. Network data is stored and processed on the multiple locations. अब multiple location मतलब क्या हो गया? Multiple location मतलब multiple users के लिए, isn't it? The distributed OS is used on network as it allows shared data file to be accessed from any machine on the network. It's one and the same thing. So it is called as multi-user OS. If I talk about multi-user means multiple user can use the same OS, and if I say distributed OS means this OS which can help in distributing or sharing the data to multiple machines. Okay, so we can insert and remove data and can access all input and output devices. So for example, children, हमारे computer lab में there are around 50 pieces, और 50 pieces के लिए कितने printers है? There is only one printer. So if you give any print command from any of the machine, that command will go to the printer, right? So that printer is shared with all the machine. The user feel as if all the data is available on their workstation itself, है ना? आप बहुत बार वेबसाइट्स वगैरह ओपन करते हो अपने लैपटॉप पर, और आपको क्या लगता है कि सारा डेटा आपके लैपटॉप पर ही था, पर ऐसा नहीं है. वो डेटा कहीं से आ रहा है. कोई भी वेबसाइट, इंटरनेट पर आप जो कुछ भी देखते हो या एक्सेस आप कर रहे हो, तो वो डेटा कहीं से तो आ रहा है, right? So but it makes you feel that all the data is available on the workstation itself. So that is distributed OS. Then interactive OS, children, it is same. Windows 10 हमारा interactive OS है कि नहीं? What do you feel? Windows 10 हमारा interactive OS है कि नहीं? In this operating system that provides a graphical user interface, that is GUI. क्या हमारा OS GUI फीचर है? डेफिनेटली है, चिल्ड्रन. इसका क्या मतलब है? मुझे कोई कमांड याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. जैसे मैंने दिखाया था ना आपको, जो MS DOS जो मैंने दिखाया था, तो उसमें क्या होता है, नाउ दिस इज अ कमांड. आप मुझे कुछ भी अगर इंस्ट्रक्शन देना है तो मुझे वो कमांड याद रखना पड़ेगा. दैट इज IP, अगर नंबर मुझे जानना है तो मुझे वो कमांड याद रखना पड़ेगा, दैट IP config. इनफैक्ट मुझे याद करना पड़ा वो, and then I gave enter and then I got the result. तो ये कमांड्स मुझे याद करने पड़े. बट GUI हमें क्या करता है? GUI means what you see is what you get. तो ये जैसे इसका मतलब है फोल्डर, इसका मतलब है कि ये ब्राउजर का आइकन है. What you see is what you get. ये एक फोल्डर है. I can, looking at the picture, I can say that this is a folder. If I double click, now I don't have to remember any command. अगर मुझे उस फोल्डर को ओपन करना है तो मुझे क्या करना है? उस पर डबल क्लिक करना है और वो फोल्डर ओपन हो जाना है, isn't it? So you do not have to remember any commands to give it to your computer. You have to simply navigate through the mouse pointer anywhere on the screen that you feel, and you can perform the operations. So that is the GUI feature. What you see is what you get. Okay, so it is our Windows 10 is a GUI, isn't it, through which the user can easily navigate and interact the computer responds almost immediately after an instruction has been entered. अब instruction कैसे enter करते हैं हम लोग? By using the mouse, by single click, double click, by using the keyboard, isn't it? And see the result. So this was about the various types of OS, and now they have given the examples, children. I'm not going to get into deep on all this. I will leave it to you. Please read this. That is what is Windows, how it was launched, when it was, when it was launched, and then what are the various versions that are coming up. Okay, they have reached only till Windows 8, but now we have Windows 10. So Windows is a proprietary OS, which means we have to purchase it. And see, it has said it is a GUI. Can you see over here? It is a GUI, that is graphical user interface operating system. Then we have Linux. Now this we have to purchase Windows, but Linux is another OS which is very much robust, very much reliable, since there is no issue of viruses in this particular operating system. So this is free and open source. एंड ओपन सॉफ्टवेयर मतलब ओपन सोर्स है. ओपन सोर्स का मतलब है कि उसका सोर्स कोड भी आपको अवेलेबल है, मतलब उसका पूरा कोड आपके पास अवेलेबल है. You can make the changes in the coding and you can customize this particular OS according to the need of the organization or for your personal use, whatever it is. ठीक है. Then we have Bosch. Now this is an OS only. This is a Linux operating system which is developed in India. Bharat Operating System Solution. See, this is an Indian distribution of GUI Linux. So iska kya hoga? So what did the government of India did is it took the source code of Linux, did some customization, did some changes, and then came the new version, that is Bosch, which was developed for our own purpose, for the government purpose. Okay? The same thing I was talking about. Then we have Unix, Solaris, and then we have mobile operating systems, children. That is the we have which is used in the smartphone. Already I have spoke about this. And then this particular OS gives a lot of features, isn't it? We can have a touch screen, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS, camera, music, everything is there in your device. And the most popular that has always that we have spoke about is Android. Everybody is aware of it. Almost everyone knows about Android. Then there are other OS. You have to just read this, children. There is just information given. Okay, nothing technical much. Then we have Symbian. Then this is a mobile OS by Nokia. Just remember the names. And then, children, comes very important topic, that is the language processors. Now this is something we need to understand. Okay, so language processors means what? Okay, for this, okay, okay, so language processor, I had some ready-made thing, but anyway, now please understand one thing, that whatever we do onto a computer, okay, we give some instruction. For example, I open, okay, already there is a PPT, okay, and I go to insert, and then I go take a text box and I type something. I study in Sunbeam Academy, and this is the text that I've typed. Okay, now what is happening, children? This is something that the language that you have used is English, and it is the language that we understand, you understand. Fine. But let me tell you one thing, the computer doesn't understand this language. What you have typed, computer doesn't understand this. Please understand it. That computer only understands the language of 0 and 1. Okay, so the computer basically, a type over here. So computer will not understand anything, understand any other language, any other language other than 0 and 1. Please understand this. So whatever you have typed, even that computer will not understand. Computer only understands the language of 0 and 1. Okay, so 0 and 1, there are two symbols. Now that's about the number system, which is the next chapter, and we are going to understand the number system. At this point, please understand that our computer system is a digital machine. A digital computer only and only understands the language of 0 and 1. 0 means off, 1 means on, and that is how the circuit is designed. The circuit, on off, that is how it goes. Okay, so 0 and 1, the language of 0 and 1. So it doesn't understand the language of English or Hindi or any other language. So to give the instruction to the computer, we need to give the instructions in form of 0 and 1. Now is it possible for you that you can give the instruction in 0 and 1, and you have no idea what is 0 and 1 and how to use the combination of this? Maybe in future we are going to do the number system, but still it is very difficult to give instructions to the machine directly in the form of 0 and 1, and that is why we have the products, we have the OS. So what is happening over here, OS has its own language processor. इसका क्या मतलब है चिल्ड्रन, जो कुछ भी आप इंस्ट्रक्शंस देते हो उसको एक लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसर जो ओएस का पार्ट होता है, इट कन्वर्ट्स दैट एवरीथिंग दैट यू आर गिवन इन योर लैंग्वेज. तो वो एक थोड़ा एक इट एज अ इंटरप्रेटर, एक मिडिल मैन की तरह काम करता है ओएस. आप जो दे रहे हो, ओएस टेक्स इट, वो आप अपने लैंग्वेज में देते हो, ठीक है, एंड दी ओएस क्या करता है, उसको कन्वर्ट करेगा मशीन लैंग्वेज में, दैट इज 0 and 1. So the OS will convert everything in 0 and 1 and then it is going to give to the CPU, और फिर वो CPU को चला जाता है, and then the CPU understands what exactly the instruction is and then it gives the output. तो अगर यहाँ पे मैंने I टाइप किया, so we have this I, तो जब मैंने वो प्रेस किया, तो when I pressed the key I, that went to the OS, OS took it, converted that into binary, gave it to the CPU, CPU gave the output, and then we had this display on a screen, that is I. तो इतना आसानी से नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है. there are lot of things that takes place at the background, please understand this. So I study in Sanbem Academy, so this is the English language. Everything that you do on your computer, ultimately सब कुछ किस में कन्वर्ट होता है, 0 and 1 में वो कन्वर्ट होता है, and then the computer understands what the user is trying to say. For example, children, इससे एक अच्छा और एक example दूंगा. Maybe right now the things are not going good with China, but the president of China, Jinping, had come to India and he visited Gujarat. So he doesn't speak Hindi or English. तो उनके लिए क्या था, उनके पास भी एक मिडिल मैन था, इंटरप्रेटर वॉज देयर. इनफैक्ट दोनों के पास था. सो वट एवर ही वॉज सेइंग, द चाइनीज प्रेसिडेंट वॉज सेइंग, दैट वॉज गेटिंग कन्वर्टेड इनटू हिंदी और इंग्लिश. द पर्सन वर हेल्पिंग देम. तो दोनों को एक दूसरे की लैंग्वेज नहीं आती है. लाइक Vladimir Putin of Russia, even he doesn't speak English. So whenever he comes to India, so if our prime minister and the president of Russia has to communicate with each other, then we require an interpreter जो उसको कन्वर्ट करेगा. सो हिंदी का जो सुन रहा है उसको वो कन्वर्ट करके रशियन में करके, देन ही विल टेल इट टू द president of Russia, and so they can communicate with each other. Similarly, a language processor also does the same thing, children. It is the interpreter between the machine and the user. जो user कहता है वो उसको वो कन्वर्ट करेगा मशीन में और वो मशीन को देगा. जो मशीन आउटपुट देगा उसको वो कन्वर्ट करेगा whichever language the user understands. अभी यहाँ पे मैंने इंग्लिश का फॉन्ट लिया है तो आउटपुट मुझे इंग्लिश में दिखाई देगा. Are you getting it? That is about the language processors. अब इसका एक पूरा डिटेल है, ठीक है. So this we are going to take tomorrow. That is, first we are going to understand the compiler, interpreter. Very simple, and I'm going to show you a PPT regarding this. और वो पूरा एग्जाम्पल में दिखाऊंगा कैसे वो इंटरप्रेटर काम करता है, कैसे कंपाइलर काम करता है, और एक कंपाइलर और इंटरप्रेटर के बीच में एग्जैक्टली क्या डिफरेंस है. दोनों बोथ आर दीज, आई मीन बोथ interpreter and the compiler are, and the assembler also, are the language processors. All three of them are language processors, but we are going to understand the difference, and I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation. Using that PowerPoint presentation, we are going to understand the difference. And then utility software, antivirus, all these are like very simple topics. So tomorrow most probably we will cover almost all everything. Then application software thoda aa raha hai. So maybe the next week we can take 1 or 2 days more of next week, and then we are going to start with number system. Fine, children. So I'm ending this class right now, and then again we'll meet tomorrow. So bye for now, children.